All right, aloha mai kako. Let's jump into the energies of this week. So it's really under the umbrella, the residence of inspired action. Now, as we talked about, there's going to be things that are happening that really amplify and augment things, and we're going to be hitting one of those this week. So there's something called coronal mass ejections, CMEs, which are basically these sunspots that explode, sending waves of electromagnetic activity that can graze or directly hit Earth. And so we got one coming up around the 17th, 18th. And so what that does is that's like a boost. Kind of think of Mario Kart when you get one of the mushrooms and you just kind of shoot directly forward and faster. So it gives us a boost. It increases, it exponentiates. And so what we want to really be looking at, particularly in our discussions, is how is it that we can better connect with that aspect of ourself, right? And that's moving through all of the things that we're talking about. We have been talking about getting the rest and the rolling and releasing a lot of that so that we can move through that as we go further in towards our essence. Now, our essence, our presence, is on a spectrum related to our ego, our persona. So the identity we've created, where there is a non-identity that we move into. Although there is a resonance, an energy, and a frequency to the essence, it's a little bit different. And so this week, we're really going to be moving into that, getting more connected by what inspires us. And that inspired action means that we're connecting to those areas in terms of what inspires us most. Now, we talked about this a bit in our vision, right? Keeping the vision very broad, joyous. It's like loving, experiential. And as we move in that direction, what we want to do is take the skill sets that we've already developed in time and space, things we've done that we've enjoyed, though not necessarily what we do professionally. We've discussed this in terms of, the aspect of support. Now that's going to be even more so a thing because we're going to be now really beginning to move into creating a foundation for our genius and indeed our legacy. So what we want to do is look at, well, what are some of in terms of inspiration, because sometimes that's a little difficult. What is it that we are most moved by? Whether it's perhaps it is a sensation, perhaps it's more along the lines of a cause, perhaps it's something that's much more internal, like being inspired by just feeling connected, or perhaps something in terms of making the world better for myself and my children. Now, whatever that is, we want to be more connected with it. And this is where the conversations around what uplifts and renews and what depletes and exhausts comes into play, because our inspiration is here. Rarely is it here, right? I mean, if it's something that really inspires us, it's not necessarily something that we feel depleted by. And put differently, this concept of flow, what is it that you could do for hours on end and kind of get lost in? For some, it's painting, for music, others, it could be meditation, hiking. Start to spend some time in terms of what that is. On the other side, as we talked about with our genius assessment, what are those things that you really feel most compelled by, fulfilled by? The nurturing, the coaching, those aspects is what we really want to start to merge together, because these parts are really going to come to play as two critical pieces right now in terms of your personal genius and what you specifically are moving into. We're going to be spending more time developing that aspect of the intuitive talents, because that's really the what. When we talk about our intuitive talents, they're not just gifts. We weren't just given them, right? It's something that we've incarnated again and again and again to specifically develop. And that is where what we actually have to offer to humanity, to ourselves, is held in that area. So myself, for example, as an energetic kinesthetic, I kind of call it portaling, right? So I'm a bridge between the really etheric aspects of creation and the physical pieces. And so I'm able to better connect for myself and for others what's happening in both of those areas. And it goes further than that, but that's the biggest part for me. Like my genius, what I really do is connect those aspects for a person. Now that can be that higher, frequency or dimensional identity, our higher self, our soul, with the embodiment within our physical body. And it can also go beyond that as well. However, that's my genius. That's the what of my genius. Whereas the other aspects come into play. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we really start to explore our intuitive talents in terms of what those pieces are and how we're going to be moving into all of those simultaneously together. For now, though, spend some time in terms of what you're inspired by. That could be a sensation, that could be a cause, that could be looking at, some of the challenges you've had and how you really are very much tied to that aspect, whether that be, going through patterns of scarcity or worthiness or what have you, and really feeling very closely tied to moving into that. And coming back and rounding back upon what are those skill sets that you have unique to you that you have to offer to the world, because those are going to start to come into play. And around the 17th, 18th, which is Wednesday, Thursday, there's going to be a big spike. We've actually seen some spikes with the Schumann resonance, and the Schumann resonance is that the brainwave frequency, the pulse of the earth itself. And this past week we had a couple big spikes, and so things are going to again hasten, quicken, exponentiate, augment, all those things. And so we want to really be in that state of readiness, curiosity, and exploration. So let me know how that goes. We'll be checking in on Monday tomorrow, and we'll go straight into that conversation about inspiration and action.